On the Digital Investors podcast, we often are talking about, of course, buying and selling online businesses. But there is another asset class that you can buy, which is kind of halfway in between one of the other strategies we teach, which is the digital agency strategies, and that is buying digital agencies. Now, it's a really cool little untapped, I guess, hot market out there. And this is what I want to show you on today's podcast. So we have back with us Steph from Harvey Bay, who was on one of our recent ones where we talked about Steph's amazing journey over the last 12 months. And Steph, if you've listened to that podcast, her story is she was a teacher. She quit her job. She knew nothing about business. She got into digital agency strategy. So as a total beginner, and within less than 12 months, she'd replaced her income. But not only that, and I alluded to it in the last podcast, she did something really interesting, literally in the last month of her first year with us, which is she went out and bought a digital agency. So in this podcast, we're going to unpack that deal. She'll share where she found it, the amazing deal that it was, and the outcome. And you'll if you've never considered buying a digital agency, make sure you listen to this podcast because it can really add to your wealth very quickly. It's called growth by acquisitions. It's what all the big guys do. And Steph, who is a total beginner, has gone and blitzed it straight off the cuff. So Steph, welcome back on the Digital Investors podcast.
Hi, Matt. Thanks so much for having me back again.
Always a pleasure, Steph, especially with this story. This is like, here you are saying, I remember when we first started coaching you, you didn't see yourself as a businesswoman. And I said, you've got to see yourself as that businesswoman, Steph. And now, a year later, look at you. You're starting up your mini empire there. You've gone out and not only replaced your income, building an amazing digital agency, but you've actually bought a digital agency. So give us the basis of this deal. How did it come about?
So I knew I wanted to buy an agency because I had heard on the podcast that another couple had um purchased an agency like to grow their own. And I thought, what a cool
Yep.
way, like to bring on more clients in such a clever way, and obviously a quicker way, buy them up rather than go out and try and find them. But I just didn't know how I was going to do it. So I kept it in my mind and kept sort of, I don't know, manifesting that I would get
Yep.
this agency. Like I just really wanted to purchase an agency. And I had taken on my very first paid client from an aged agency. So they were really helpful. They helped me move the client over and I redid that website. And that was my very first paid job. And I thought to myself at the time, like, oh, that's an aged agency. Like, I'd love
Yeah.
to buy that. But I had no business experience. There was no way that I would have had the confidence to approach a business and ask if I could buy it. I would have never have been able to do that or had the skills to be able to do that or have even known what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So I just sort of kept it in my mind. And then
Steph, I'm gonna
they
jump in. You did more than
oh,
keep it in your mind, didn't you? Stick it on
I
your
did.
vision board.
I did.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
downplay. Let's. Steph is very driven. If you're listening, and if you heard the last podcast, I think you'll agree. She's very driven, competitive, like all the women on our course. And what? So you stuck it on a vision board. Is
I
that right?
did. Well, yeah, every year my friends and I at the start of the year we have this like little tradition and we fill out the bingo board for the year. So it's where
Yeah.
like we'll write down predictions or things that we really want to happen and we cross them off the bingo board throughout the year. It's just this like little funny thing we've always done. And I put on the bingo board, I said, I'm going to buy an agency. And they're like, what do you even mean?
Did they even
Because
know
at the
what that
time,
was?
no,
Cool.
and I had done all of the digital investors. I'd started Champions and
Yep.
I was so reluctant to tell anyone what I was doing because I just felt like such an imposter. So even my best friends didn't find out until I was like 7 months
Yeah.
into like learning about websites. And when I was like, guys, I'm starting a business, and they nearly fell over. They're like, what are you talking about? But anyway, I said, I'm not only am I starting a business, but I'm going to buy one. And so it was like
Cool.
this big grand, prediction or like wish, I suppose, at the time. Um, but I don't know, I wanted to buy that agency. And a month or so ago, I think it was now, I needed to get the two-factor authentication taken off an old citation that very first business had. Um, And so it ended up sending a text message to the old business owner, and he called me and he was really lovely. And he said to me, "Oh, so how's business going?" I said, "Yeah, it's going really great. Loving it. It's really good." Because he sort of knew that I was new to business when I took over from the first job there.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, and what about you? How are you going?" Because I thought, how am I going to get it in here?
Yeah,
And he
cool.
said, "Oh, we're actually looking at selling. Do you know anyone who'd be interested in buying?" And I said, "Funny you should say. I
All
would love to
right.
talk to you about buying."
See,
So we had a
funny
coffee
how
the
the
week later.
universe works. Yes,
Yeah.
sorry. So what happened then?
Then we had a coffee a week later. It
Yep.
was so lovely. Yeah. And
So he's a local guy then, obviously.
they're no longer based in Harvey Bay, but they grew the business from within Harvey Bay for about 10, 15 years. And then they spent a few years in Melbourne. Yeah, so it's quite an older business, and they've been in
Absolute.
other businesses in Harvey Bay
Yep.
prior to that. And funnily enough, the universe again, Matt, I might sound a little bit woo-woo, but when we met, I'd said, "Oh, we'll go meet at this cafe that's quite well known here." And so we sat down and he goes, "You won't believe it. This block of land right here used to be my old bait and tackle shop where that's where he bought his first business." So it was funny that like he bought his first business there, and then I bought my first business there.
Right. That's cool. So, and this is unreal. So you've right under your very nose, you found, and through, but taking massive action as well. It's not just sticking things on a vision board, but that is super cool, by the way, because so it's intention plus taking action. You get this opportunity now to buy a business. You've never bought a business in your entire life. You're sitting with this guy. What's his situation? Who, what? Because this is a really cool part of the story that I want listeners to hear. This is, guys, if you, when you listening to this, this is the real big opportunity in buying, particularly bricks and mortar businesses like this at the moment. So, what was his situation?
So they are an older couple and they've built the business up over time. And he said that he was basically just going to contact all of his clients and say, "You're going to need to find your own hosting because we're shutting the doors and going traveling."
Yeah,
They're in a stage of their
love
life
it.
where they don't have as much time to go do things as they probably had once hoped. So they're really wanting
Yep.
to exit. And he said to me recently, he's like, he just like held my hand. He's like, "I thank you so much for buying this business.
Wow.
They're beautiful. They're the loveliest people ever." And he's like, "What you've done for us is just
Awesome.
amazing because it's meant that they can, go and live their life that they've worked really hard to want to live. They, yeah, want to travel
This
and
is
yeah."
cool, Steph, because they're free. And isn't it cool? So, people in our community know what what the next part of the equation is here. So you got an absolute bargain, but they still love you. So that's so
They're so beautiful. Yeah.
so tell,
They are so grateful. And I did really get it at a bargain price, which is
yeah,
awesome
tell,
for me, but
yeah,
it meant that they had money that they weren't going to have because they were literally just going to shut
close
the
the doors.
doors and ring
Yep.
everyone and say, "We're not doing it anymore." Which would have been such a shame because the owner took me around town. I don't know if I told you, but he drove me around town to meet all
Yep.
of his businesses and
That is unreal.
introduced me to everyone face to
Woohoo.
face. And like he was hugging his clients, like they're really really important clients to them. And
Far out.
it would have been such a shame for them to not have someone else to be able to help them out with their website. So yeah,
So I want to point out to our listeners, Steph has nabbed herself, guys, not only a bargain, you'll hear about the pricing in a minute, but an absolutely amazing asset. It's quite rare. And this is what we look for with online business as well. So, anyone who's done our course knows we teach this. The longer established the business, the more value it is. So, particularly with online businesses, but also bricks and mortar. And so, this is kind of in between bricks and mortar and an online business. So, this thing's established 15 years, Steph, in a regional area. It doesn't get any better to the point where the owner is hugging his customers.
yeah,
So, talk about that personal introduction. You couldn't ask for a better business buy with those sorts of assets. Pretty much a no-brainer deal. What are the, let's talk the numbers. So, Miss, I'm not into business or anything, or I'm not, don't know any business. What did you negotiate? And what was your asking price and what did you negotiate in the end?
Well, I had the meeting and I knew I was going for the meeting and I'd already gotten on to Tony and said, Tony, I need to talk to Matt because
Yeah.
I'm going for this business meeting and I have no idea what I should be saying. But I'd gone to the meeting and afterwards he had sent me over the profit and loss, which before
Yep.
this, literally, Matt, I didn't even know what a profit and loss
I
was.
know.
So
This is cool,
I
Steph.
I don't know. I know nothing.
This is good. So total beginners can do this. If you're brand new to business, it doesn't matter. Listen to Steph's story. She didn't even know what a P&L was. So luckily you had me to mentor you here through the meeting bits as well. So how many calls did we do?
Yep.
Two, I think. Was it just two
Two
calls?
calls,
Two
yeah.
calls, yeah.
Um, because then the seller had said, I said, he'd sort of texted me and I said, what would you be interested in selling it for? And he had hoped to get around 20 grand for it. That was a one times multiple, but included there a couple of builds that they'd done. So I'd sort of, with your guidance, had gone back and said, I really only want to be paying for the recurring income because I'm not guaranteed
Yeah.
the extra maintenance or jobs out of it. And we were on Zoom, and he and his wife just looked at each other when I said, "Oh, I'm willing to offer a one times multiple on the recurring income, which is just over $11,000." And they just looked at each other and said, "Sure."
And gets better. What was the other bit that you and I discussed and that you negotiated with these guys? How did you pay
Which
that 11 grand?
Oh, yeah. So I said that that was what I wanted to pay for it. But at this point, I hadn't seen any of the clients. So because obviously he wouldn't want to give me his whole list of clients because then
No.
he wouldn't know if I wanted to go and contact them and just poach them. Not that I would ever do that, but he doesn't know that. So
Yep.
I said, if I give you $2,000, can we start the due diligence process? And once we've gone around and met all of the clients and you've given me an introduction to the ones via Zoom, or some are traveling. So we did have to just do email, phone call sort of thing with a couple of them. But majority of them we met face to face. I said, after
Wow.
you've done that, I'll send you half of it. And then for every client that comes over, I'll pay you up to the $11,000. And every client's decided to come over. So
Whoa, awesome. So basically, a bit of seller finance negotiated in here, or it's a win-win because, like you said, both of you are very trustworthy. Obviously, he's an awesome, they sound like a lovely couple,
they're so
typical Harvey
nice.
Bay person in a regional area, easy to do business with, and yourself. But for both of you, you just staggered it so that as the clients came over, basically you paid out the business. So win-win outcome there. Well done, Steph. That is super cool. And how many clients were there?
28, but
Oh,
also over the time of us driving around Harvey Bay and chatting, and
yep.
he's not only offered like so much help business wise, because obviously he's run a successful business.
Yeah.
So for some, like I can learn a lot from them, just in that sense. And he's also put me in touch with three new clients who I can do business
Wow.
for, and he got me like one of them is quoting $2,000 for some citations. Another one I just met with yesterday that's looking like it's going to be a recurring retainer for SEO. And he could have taken this work, but he's just done. And so the deal, if I get even just the client from yesterday's meeting, it will have paid for the entire business. So yeah, it's very
That is
exciting.
awesome, Steph. So really, not giving financial advice here to anyone listening or anything, but really, no real downside whatsoever. Massive potential upside. That's an $11,000 punt, well worth taking. And remember at the boot camp we had, no, on one of our SEO Friday SEO lunches with Matt, we had Greg Elfrink, the broker. And when you shared the story, he's like, he did a double take and went, hang on a minute, 11 grand for 28 clients in an agency with recurring income. So we should explain too, this is not website builds and stuff. This is literally locked in recurring income for the last 15 years. So you own it now. Roughly, what is it a month?
About $1,000 a month.
So a one times multiple. So 11
Yeah.
grand, you can't, you, like you don't buy businesses on a one-time multiple normally it's three times. So
Yeah.
but this is a unique situation as well, and this is what we want to point out on this podcast. These unique situations coming up quite a bit now out in the marketplace as people retire or people are burnt out from, I know a lot of you listening have burnt out from your corporate jobs, but people do get sick and tired of their businesses as well, and they just want to flick them on, go and travel like these guys did, or these guys were at retirement age. But this is an awesome buy because it's, Steph, you've just landed yourself. This is like playing Monopoly. Okay. You've just bought up, some, okay, it might not be Park Lane or anything like that. And I know if you're listening, you're thinking, oh, 11 grand, that's not much money. But hang on a minute. It's zero risk and potentially Steph's already made her money back. She only did the deal a month ago. You could potentially make your money back just on
Yeah.
ongoing SEO if anyone even upgrades. So it's literally,
Yeah.
Steph, it's like playing Monopoly. You own now a really nice asset on that Monopoly board. You'll be collecting your $200 every time you pass
Yeah.
go, on autopilot. Nice one. And
Yeah.
and how's it panned out? Like, what are the clients like and everything like that? Obviously, the
Yeah.
owner's awesome.
They're so lovely. Everyone is so nice. And there's been a number of them say, oh, well, in the next month or two, can you come around? We'll have a meeting. We really need a renovation, or we really need this and that
Yeah.
done. There's a few different things that people want done. Um, one of the businesses is a very well established business within the construction niche in Hervey Bay, but they are an older business, and they sort of were like, over the next couple of years, we might look at just closing the doors. And we're actually going to now help them to see if they can sell the business rather than
Yeah.
just close
Well
the
done.
doors, because what they've built up over that time. And the seller was able to say to them, like, look what I've been able to do. I've been able to sell my business. You can too. And they absolutely can. Like, it's a very well established business and name
Yes,
in our
this
region.
is
So,
unreal. So you can help
yeah.
this local business build up their online. This is what we used to do when we help bricks and mortar businesses sell. Get them to build up their online presence, just nail it, and then at least it'll be a saleable asset. So you could change their lives completely. That is
Yeah.
unreal, Steph. Well done.
And
So,
at the very least, their domain name is like an exact match domain name for the region and the niche. So at the very least, if they do end up just closing the doors, I'm going to use that website to build a rank and rent website
yeah,
because it's
perfect.
already ranking. So
But look
yeah,
at these doors that it is opened for you. So your
yeah,
first business acquisition, you've just nailed, like, out of the gates, 10 out of 10, Steph, you've nailed it. And look what you've learnt from it. There's no downside here. Now, now, listening to this, not every business acquisition is there no downside. I'm talking in Steph's instance, but I think there's a lot of opportunity. And you're seeing that in the champions communities. We talk about this all the time, buying up these little agencies. Everyone thinks you've got to buy big agencies. There's lots of these little micro agencies out there that, if you're listening to this, think about this. How does someone like that sell a little micro agency? It's not worth selling through a broker after commissions and stuff. They're out there. They're all over across Australia, across America. Imagine doing this in America, Steph. Oh my God, how many of these would there be? You could collect up 10 of these or five of these, and instantly over a period of, well, instantly, like over a period of a year, you can dramatically increase the value of your own agency. So for you now, Steph, that's going to go straight onto your bottom line. That's going to add value to your agency. And I know you're not thinking about the valuation of your agency yet, and nor should you be, by the way. You need to be hitting your goal of 30 grand a month. But that's now an asset, an actual virtual asset that is potentially worth a lot of money, and it will get you towards your financial goal a lot quicker as well. And if you can buy some more over time, you've just look how much you've just sped up your journey. That's called leverage. That's what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in Rich Dad Poor Dad, finding assets like
well,
that.
that's the great thing about the seller too. He has quite a big network of other
Oh,
agencies who are, they're all similar sort of age, and some of them are going, oh, we're sort of
wow.
winding down. And I said, could you let them know that I'm willing to buy their
Yeah.
agencies? And so he's going to keep me connected with a few
Good.
people, and yeah, when he
Look at
hears
that.
things come up. So yeah.
See, the power of networking and setting a vision as well. And I do want to say a big
Yes.
congratulations there for you. And it is cool, part of your story. Let's go back to the beginning, Steph. It was an intention. You said it was all a bit of a fun thing, but with your friends on the bingo board or whatever. But I think seriously, as you know, and like anyone listening to this knows, all the champions and anyone listening to this presumably too is very driven. there was a strong intention behind you putting that picture up and saying to your friends, I'm going to buy an agency. Well done. That's where it all starts. If you don't make these moves, and I think hopefully that's a big take home lesson here as well, not only excitement of buying rundown or sort of assets where people are ready to retire, but it's a mindset thing and setting that in clear intention. Once you understand how business works and that acquisitions can greatly accelerate your journey, especially smart acquisitions like this, it is well worth setting an intention to get out there and buy online businesses. So thank you, Steph, so much for coming along to share that story today.
Thank
That is
you.
super cool.
I wouldn't have known the first thing to do without our coaching calls. And I
Yeah.
probably would have paid 20 grand for it too. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, which still would have been great, I think. I think I'll make that back on this deal. But I do, yeah, thank you very much for your help, Matt.
Oh, my pleasure. And Steph, it is so cool. And see, now I get to share the story with everyone, right? So this is super cool. So we all win out of this, and as did the seller. See, it wasn't a tough ass, screw them down type thing or anything like that. This is, you guys all get on really well and everything, and they're wonderful
Yeah.
people. So it's worked
And
out.
I
This has
think
just worked out perfect.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that I really learned from this process is not to underestimate what value people can bring to your
Yeah.
business or your life as well. Because like they
Yep.
popped around to our house and they had afternoon tea with me and my
Oh.
kids, and they're
Yeah.
just beautiful.
Oh,
They're so sweet. They meet me at the library to help me do the transfers.
right.
They're so lovely. And
That
yeah,
is so
it's
cool.
been such a nice experience. And I know not every business deal will be like that, but it was a great first business deal
Well,
to do. So,
also, having myself grown up in regional areas, it does tend to be a bit like that in regional areas, and it's like that in cities as well, I'm sure. But in regional areas in particular, I think this is a really nice outcome. It's a really nice way to get introduced to the community, especially for yourself, because you're not from, like you said. I mean, we need to rechange your image now, but yeah, a year ago, you're not from a business background. You didn't know business people. Now all of a sudden, you got this owner introducing you to all his clients and to other people, and you're part of now. You're just full on stepping into the shoes of that. You're the businesswoman. You do acquisitions, starting a BNI. You're the person to see in Harvey Bay, Steph. For anything online, go to Steph. So it's cool.
sure.
That is unreal, Steph. That's really cool outcome. And yeah, thanks for sharing that story. And hopefully, if you're listening here, you notice something important in that story. Was Steph did a couple of coaching calls with me. So if you want access to me, you do need to be on our course. I'm going to be blunt about it. But also, even if you're just starting out new, seriously, go and check out our free masterclass if you're interested in buying online businesses. It's really worthwhile. If you've ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this is exactly what Steph has done, is literally like out of one of the chapters from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She's buying an asset that is highly leveraged. That's recurring income that she's earning there. And so you can start to learn about that on our free masterclass where we talk about buying and selling online businesses. But thank you, Steph, for coming along today to share that story.
Thanks, Matt. See ya.